Chosen one. Your hands might be trembling slightly as you read this. Your breathing might have just changed. And there's a reason. January 13th, 14th, 15th. These 3 days are not random, and neither is this moment. Out of infinite content you could be consuming right now, the Holy Spirit made sure this message reached you at exactly this second. Not because you searched for it, not because an algorithm decided, because heaven scheduled your arrival here before you were born. And here's what you need to understand. The discomfort you've been feeling. The heaviness in your chest when you wake up. The unexplainable exhaustion. The way your body is rejecting situations it used to tolerate. You've been calling it burnout. You've been calling it depression. You've been wondering if you're finally breaking down. You're not breaking down. You're being recalibrated. God doesn't send you a memo before He upgrades your frequency. He sends you symptoms. The tightness in your jaw, that's old frequency being released. The dreams you can't quite remember but wake from with your heart racing. That's your spirit receiving downloads your conscious mind isn't ready for yet. The sudden rage that bubbles up over nothing. That's your soul revolting against compromises it will no longer accept. It's 3:47 inches the morning. You're staring at your ceiling. Again, you've been awake for over an hour, but you haven't moved. Your body feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds, but your mind won't stop racing. And there's this thought that keeps circling back, the one you're afraid to say out loud. Maybe I'm losing it. Maybe this whole chosen one thing was in my head. Maybe I've been fooling myself this entire time. That thought, that's not doubt. That's the old calibration trying to survive, because it knows that in the next 72 hours, it's going to die, and it's fighting for its life inside your head right now. Let me tell you why these 3 days matter. January, the first month. Days 13, 14, 15. The midpoint. This isn't numerology. This is divine architecture. When God designs a shift, He doesn't do it randomly. He builds it into the calendar. He codes it into time itself. And here's what most chosen ones miss. God's timing isn't about when you're ready. It's about when the cosmos is aligned to hold what He's about to download into you. You could have been ready 6 months ago, but the frequency bandwidth wasn't there. The spiritual infrastructure wasn't built. The portals weren't open. They're open now. Isaiah 55, verses 8 and 9. Most people quote this wrong. They say God's ways are higher than ours, and they stop there. But look at the Hebrew, the word translated as thoughts. It's machashavot. It doesn't just mean random thoughts. It means deliberate design. Architectural plans. God is saying His designs are higher than your designs. His blueprints are beyond your blueprints. And January 13 through 15, this is when one of His blueprints goes live. Not for everyone. Just for the ones whose calibration window is open. Just for the ones who were marked for this specific window before time began. If you're hearing this message during these days, your window is open. If you stumbled onto this video, quote-unquote, by accident during this time frame, that wasn't an accident. That was a scheduled arrival. Now, before I go deeper, I need you to understand something. If you leave this video right now, you'll spend the next 3 days confused. You'll feel the symptoms, but you won't know what they mean. You'll sense the shift, but you won't know how to work with it. And by the 16th, the window will close, and you'll wonder what you missed. But if you stay until the end, here's what you're going to walk away with. You're going to understand the 3 layers of what's happening in your energy field right now, and why only layer 3 will determine your next 5 years. You're going to learn the specific protocol for each of these 3 days, step by step, so you don't sabotage your own recalibration. And you're going to recognize the 7 forms of interference that will try to shut this down before the 15th is over, and exactly how to neutralize them. This isn't theory. This is tactical intel for the next 72 hours. So stay with me. Now let me explain what's actually happening. There are 3 layers to this recalibration, and most people only see layer 1. They think that's the whole thing. They process layer 1. They feel a little better, and they move on. And they completely miss the breakthrough because they didn't go deep enough. Layer 1 is energetic. Your energy field, the invisible electromagnetic signature around your body, is being tuned to a higher frequency. Think of it like this. You've been operating on AM radio your whole life, and suddenly God is flipping you to FM. Same device, different frequency, better sound quality, clearer signal, but during the flip, there's static, there's interference. That static you've been feeling, that's the flip in progress. And here's what happens at layer 1. Your body starts rejecting low frequency environments. You walk into a room full of gossip and your stomach turns. You're in a conversation about nothing and you feel like you can't breathe. You're scrolling your phone and suddenly it feels toxic in your hands. That's not you being dramatic. That's your energy field rejecting what no longer matches your new frequency. Layer 2 is spiritual. This is where it gets deeper. While your energy is shifting, your spirit is being recalibrated to a different level of spiritual authority. You're being given access to realms you didn't have access to before. Realms of revelation, realms of discernment, realms of supernatural strategy. But here's the catch with layer 2. You can't access new realms while you're still attached to old agreements. Old soul ties, old vows you made in moments of desperation, old contracts you signed with fear, with scarcity, with people-pleasing. So, what does God do? He starts severing them. And when a soul tie gets severed, it feels like loss. It feels like something's being ripped out of you. And you panic because you think you're losing something important. You're not. You're being freed. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The word transformed there, it's the Greek word metamorphou. It's where we get the word metamorphosis. When a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it doesn't just grow wings. It dissolves. Its entire body turns to liquid inside the cocoon. Every cell breaks down. And then it reforms into something completely new. That's what's happening to you right now. You're not just getting better, you're dissolving and reforming. And that in-between stage, the liquid stage, that's what you're feeling. That's why everything feels wrong. Because you're not the caterpillar anymore, but you're not the butterfly yet. You're in the GOO. And here's the pattern. I can show you this pattern 5 times in Scripture. Saul becomes Paul. But first, he goes blind for 3 days. Jacob becomes Israel. But first, he wrestles all night and his hip gets dislocated. Simon becomes Peter. But first, he denies Jesus 3 times and weeps bitterly. Abram becomes Abraham. But first, he's told to sacrifice his son. Sarai becomes Sarah. But first, she laughs at God's promise and gets corrected. Every transformation in Scripture has a pressure point, a moment where it feels like everything is falling apart. And that moment, that's not failure. That's the metamorphosis. That's the dissolving before the reforming. And if you quit during the goo stage, you never become the butterfly. Now, here's what most people miss. here's layer 3. And I'm telling you, if you don't understand layer 3, the other 2 layers won't matter. Layer 3 is operational. This is the layer where your assignment shifts. Your mission changes. The thing you thought God called you to do, that was phase 1. And you've been wondering why it feels like that door is closing, why the passion is fading, why it doesn't fit anymore. You've been fighting to keep it alive because you think if you let it go, you're giving up on God's will. Listen to me closely. God is not taking away your calling, He's upgrading it. Phase 1 was your training ground. It taught you what you needed to learn. It built muscles you didn't have. It exposed weaknesses you needed to see. But it was never meant to be your final assignment. It was meant to prepare you for your final assignment. And January 13 through 15, these 3 days, this is when phase 2 gets unlocked, not revealed, not hinted at, unlocked. Like a door that's been locked your entire life, and suddenly you have the key. But here's the problem. If you're still trying to operate in phase 1, you won't even notice the phase 2 door opened. You'll walk right past it because you're so focused on keeping the old thing alive. So, here's what's been happening. God has been making phase 1 uncomfortable. He's been removing the grace from it. Not because He's punishing you, because He's pushing you toward the door. He's making the old thing feel wrong, so you'll stop clinging to it and turn around and see what's actually opening behind you. And that's what these 3 days are. These are the days the phase 2 door swings wide, and the chosen ones who are paying attention, the ones who are willing to let phase 1 die, they're going to walk through. And 5 years from now, they're going to look back at January 13, 14, 15 of 2026 and say, that's when everything changed. That's when I finally became who I was born to be. But here's the part that's going to challenge you. Phase 2 doesn't look like what you expected. It's not a bigger version of phase 1. It's a different thing entirely. And your mind is going to resist it because it doesn't fit the picture you had. Your logic is going to say this doesn't make sense. Your fear is going to say you're not qualified. And that's how you'll know it's phase 2. Because phase 1 you could do in your own strength. Phase 2, you can't. Phase 2 requires a dependence on God you've never walked in before. It requires a level of faith that terrifies you. And that's the point. Because phase 2 isn't about you being great. It's about God being great through you. So, if the thing that's opening in front of you scares you, good. That means it's big enough to actually be your assignment. If you feel qualified for it, it's probably not it. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And the calling always feels too big at first. That's how you know it's HIS and not yours. Now, knowing these 3 layers is critical, but knowing isn't enough, because in the next 72 hours, you have to do something with this knowledge. There's a protocol, a specific sequence of actions for each day. Day 1 is different from day 2. Day 2 is different from day 3. And if you go into these days without the protocol, you'll waste the window. That's what we're covering next. The exact 3-day protocol. What to do on the 13th. What to do on the 14th. What to do on the 15th. And how to recognize if you're doing it right. The protocol has 3 days. But here's what you need to understand. It's not just 3 separate days. There's a sequence within each day, a specific order, and if you skip a step or do them out of order, you won't get the full recalibration. You'll get a partial upgrade. And 6 months from now, you'll wonder why you're still stuck. But before I give you day 1, you need to understand the mechanics of what's happening in your body during these 72 hours. Because if you don't understand the mechanics, you'll fight the process instead of flowing with it. Think of your energy field like a radio receiver. Right now, you're tuned to a specific frequency. That frequency has been set for years, maybe decades. It's been calibrated to survival mode, to scarcity thinking, to people-pleasing, to fear-based decision-making. And that calibration? It's been useful. It kept you safe. It helped you navigate a world that wasn't ready for the real you. But now God is saying the world is ready, or more accurately, you're ready for a world that's been waiting for you. And to step into that world, your receiver has to be tuned to a different frequency. A frequency of abundance instead of scarcity, authority instead of permission-seeking, divine strategy instead of human hustle. And here's the thing about retuning a receiver. You can't do it while it's playing. You have to turn it off first. You have to go into silence, and that's what these 3 days are. God is turning off your old frequency so He can retune you to the new one. And during that off period, it's going to feel like static, like you're disconnected, like nothing's working. That's not malfunction. That's recalibration in progress. Now, here's where it gets specific. Your energy field has 7 calibration points, 7 centers in your body where energy flows in and out. Most people call them chakras, but I'm going to call them what the Bible calls them, gates. 7 gates. And during a full recalibration, all 7 would need adjustment. But that would take months, and you'd be non-functional the whole time. So God doesn't recalibrate all 7 at once. He recalibrates 3, the 3 that are critical for your next assignment. And in this window, January 13 through 15, the 3 active calibration points are different for each chosen one, based on what Phase 2 requires of them. But here's how you know which 3 are active for you. Pay attention to where you feel sensation in your body over these 3 days, not pain, sensation, warmth, tingling, pressure, vibration. If you feel it in your solar plexus, that's calibration point 2 activating. That's your power center being upgraded. If you feel it in your throat, that's point 5. Your voice is being recalibrated. If you feel it in the center of your chest, that's point 4. Your heart gate is being adjusted. And here's the key. Don't try to stop the sensation. Don't medicate it away. Don't distract yourself from it. That sensation is the you prayed happening. If you interrupt it, you delay the process. Psalm 23 verse 3. He restores my soul. That word restore in Hebrew is shuv. It doesn't mean repair. It means return to original settings, like a factory reset on your phone. God isn't fixing what's broken. He's resetting you to who you were before the world reprogrammed you, before trauma installed fear, before rejection installed people-pleasing, before scarcity installed hoarding. And a factory reset? It wipes everything. All your apps, all your saved passwords, all your carefully organized systems, and for a few minutes, your phone is blank. And if you didn't know what a factory reset was, you'd panic. You'd think your phone was destroyed. But it's not destroyed. It's being restored. That's what these 3 days are. The blank screen moment. And if you panic during the blank screen, you'll abort the reset. You'll try to reinstall the old apps too quickly, and you'll end up right back where you started. Now let me show you something. You've already been seeing evidence of this recalibration, but you didn't recognize it. Think back to this week. Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. Something small happened. Something you brushed off as coincidence. But it wasn't. Maybe you were at a coffee shop and the barista, someone you've never talked to before, said something oddly specific to you. Not just, "Have a nice day." Something like, "Have a blessed day." Or, "Things are about to change for you." And you thought, "That's weird. They've never said that before. That wasn't random. That was a confirmation from heaven delivered through a stranger's mouth." Or maybe you were driving and you saw a license plate, and the numbers on that plate were 111 or 333 or 777. And for some reason, it stuck with you. You kept thinking about it. That wasn't your brain playing tricks. That was a frequency marker. Heaven was saying, "You're on the right path. Stay alert." Or maybe someone from your past reached out this week. Someone you haven't heard from in months or years. And they said something like, "I've been thinking about you," or "I had a dream about you," or "For some reason you came to mind." That wasn't nostalgia. That was a witness being activated to watch your transformation unfold. 1 Kings chapter 19. Elijah is in the cave, and God says, "Go stand on the mountain. I'm about to pass by." And a great wind comes. But God's not in the wind. Then an earthquake. But God's not in the earthquake. Then a fire. But God's not in the fire. And then a still, small voice. And that's where God is. Most chosen ones are waiting for the earthquake. They're waiting for the lewd dramatic sign. But God said during this recalibration window, "I'm speaking in whispers, in small details, in tiny synchronicities, and the ones who are paying attention to the whispers, they're the ones who won't miss the instructions." So, if you've been seeing small signs this week and dismissing them, stop dismissing them. That's heaven's way of saying, "You're in the right place, keep going, I'm with you." Alright, here's the protocol, day by day, what to do on each day to maximize this window, and I'm going to be specific because vague spirituality doesn't help you. You need actions. Day 1. January 13th. This is Receive Day. Your only job on this day is to receive, not give, not produce, not fix, not hustle, receive. And here's how you do that. The moment you wake up, before you grab your phone, before you check messages, before you do anything, I want you to do this. Stand or sit, whichever you're able to do, and place one hand on your chest and say out loud, just once, "I am receiving." That's it. 3 words, but you have to say them out loud, not in your head, out loud. Because sound creates vibration, and vibration shifts frequency. When you speak those words into the atmosphere, you're declaring to the spiritual realm that you're in receiving mode, and every gate in your energy field opens. Then, throughout the entire day, every time you're about to make a decision, ask yourself this question: is this me giving, or is this me receiving? If someone asks you for something and your first instinct is to say, yes, pause. Ask, is this giving or receiving? Because on day 1, if it's giving, the answer is no. I don't care how guilty you feel. Day 1 is not for output. It's for input. And here's the test. The first thing you touch after you wake up on day 1, that object is going to be significant. I don't know what it will be for you. Maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's a cup of water. Whatever it is, pay attention. Because that object is a symbol of what you're about to receive in this season. And over the next 30 days, you're going to see that symbol show up again and again, and every time you do, It's a confirmation that you're on track. Day 2, January 14th. This is Anchor Day. You've received on day 1. Now you have to anchor it so it doesn't float away. And here's how you anchor. At some point during day 2, you need to write, not type, write, with your hand, on paper, or in a journal. And you're going to write 3 sentences. Sentence 1. The thing I received yesterday is this. And you name it. Even if you're not sure what it was, write what you think it was. Sentence 2. The thing I'm releasing to make room for it is this. And you name what you're letting go. An old belief, an old relationship, an old version of yourself. Sentence 3. The first step I will take to walk in this is this. And you write 1 action, not 10. 1. And when you finish writing those 3 sentences, you read them out loud. Once, then you close the journal. You don't edit, you don't second guess, you anchor it, and you move forward. Exodus chapter 19, verses 10 and 11. God tells Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Have them wash their clothes and be ready by the 3rd day." Notice the sequence. Day 1, consecrate. Day 2, prepare. Day 3, God shows up. That's the same pattern. Receive, anchor, release. Day 3, January 15th. This is release day. This is the day you let go of whatever's been blocking the new frequency. And here's how you do it. At some point during the day, you're going to find yourself in a moment of resistance. It might be a conversation that irritates you. It might be a memory that surfaces. It might be a person who suddenly drains your energy. And your first instinct will be to fight it, or fix it, or avoid it. Don't, just observe it. And in your mind, not out loud, say this. I release you. I release the need to control this. I release the need to understand this. I release the attachment to how this turns out. And then you exhale, long and slow. And as you exhale, imagine that resistance leaving your body like smoke. You're not suppressing it. You're not spiritually bypassing it. You're releasing it because it no longer serves your new frequency. And by the end of day 3, you're going to feel lighter, not happier, lighter. Like something you've been carrying for years just fell off your back. That's the recalibration completing. That's the new frequency locking in. Now let me show you proof this works, because I can give you the protocol, but if you don't believe it's real, you won't follow through. So let me tell you about Sarah. Not her real name, but her story is real. October 2024. Days 15, 16, and 17. She went through this exact same recalibration window. Different dates. Same pattern. Sarah had been working at the same company for 8 years. Decent job, decent pay, but she was miserable. Every morning, she'd sit in her car in the parking lot for 10 minutes before going inside, just trying to build up the energy to walk through the door. She knew she needed to leave. But she had bills. She had responsibilities. And she had fear. Fear that if she left, nothing better would come. Fear that she'd made the wrong choice. Fear that maybe this was as good as it gets. October 15th, 2 a.m. She's standing in her bathroom. She's been crying for an hour. Mascara down her face. And she's staring at herself in the mirror. And she says out loud, I can't do this anymore. God, if you're real, you have to show me the way out. I don't have the strength to do this on my own. That prayer, that was day 1. Receive. She didn't know it, but she just opened her frequency to receive the answer. Day 2, October 16th. She wakes up and there's a text on her phone. From a former co-worker she hasn't talked to in 3 years. The text says, Hey, I know this is random, but I thought of you yesterday. Are you still at that company? Because we're hiring, and I think you'd be perfect for this role. Sarah almost deletes the text, because her fear says, that's too good to be true, but something in her spirit says, anchor this. She writes in her journal, the thing I'm receiving is a new opportunity. The thing I'm releasing is the fear that I'm trapped. The first step is, I will respond to this message. Day 3, October 17th. She responds, she sets up the interview. And during the interview, a wave of resistance hits her. She thinks, I'm not qualified for this. I don't have the experience. I'm going to embarrass myself. But instead of fighting it, she just exhales. She releases the need to be perfect. She releases the attachment to the outcome, and she shows up as herself. November 3rd, 2.5 weeks later, she gets the job offer, double her previous salary. And not just that, it's work she actually loves. Work that aligns with her gifts, work that doesn't drain her. And when she looks back, she says, October 15th through 17th. That's when it shifted. That's when I stopped waiting for God to move and started receiving what He was already sending. Now, here's the part Sarah didn't tell anyone for 3 months after. The fear. The fear that came after she got the job. The fear that maybe she didn't deserve it. The fear that she was going to fail. The fear that people would think she got lucky instead of chosen. That fear almost made her turn down the offer. Almost made her stay in the misery, because misery felt safer than the unknown. And that's the fear you're about to face. Because this recalibration, it's not just about gaining a new frequency. It's about facing what that new frequency will cost you. And we need to talk about that. Because if you don't name the fear, it will sabotage you before the 15th is even over. So let's talk about the fear. The fear nobody wants to admit they have. The fear that sounds too selfish to say out loud. The fear that makes you feel like a terrible person just for thinking it. What if you don't want to be recalibrated? What if part of you, a part you're ashamed of, wants to stay where you are? What if the known misery feels safer than the unknown glory? What if becoming who God says you are means losing the people who love who you are now? Because here's the truth that nobody talks about in these spiritual circles. Leveling up is lonely. When you shift to a new frequency, the people vibrating at the old frequency can't hear you anymore. You're speaking a different language. You're seeing things they can't see. And they don't celebrate your growth, they resent it. Because your transformation is a mirror showing them they're still stuck. And somewhere deep inside, you know this. You know that if you walk through this recalibration, if you let God upgrade you to phase 2, you're going to lose someone. Maybe it's a friend who only bonded with you over complaining. Maybe it's a family member who needs you to stay small so they feel big. Maybe it's a romantic partner who fell in love with your brokenness, not your wholeness. And when you're no longer broken, they won't know how to love you anymore. And that terrifies you. Because you've already lost so much. You've already been abandoned. You've already been rejected. And the thought of going through that again, even if it's for your destiny, feels like too high a price. So part of you is sabotaging this recalibration before it even completes. Part of you is saying, maybe I'll just stay at this level. It's not perfect, but at least I'm not alone. At least people still understand me. At least I still fit somewhere. And that voice is lewd right now. Because it knows. It knows that January 13 through 15 is the last chance, it has to stop you. After the 15th, the door to phase 2 swings open and you're going to want to walk through, and that voice will lose its power over you. So, it's screaming right now. It's giving you every reason to quit, every fear, every worst-case scenario, every memory of past pain, to convince you that staying small is safer. And here's what most spiritual teachers would tell you at this point. They'd say, that voice is your ego. It's trying to protect you from failure. It's scared that if you step into your greatness and you fail, you won't survive the shame. So, it's keeping you small to keep you safe. And that sounds good. That sounds wise. That sounds like something you should work on in therapy for the next 6 months until you finally feel ready to take the leap. But I'm going to tell you something that's going to flip everything you just heard. That explanation, it's wrong. Your fear is not protecting you from greatness. Your fear is protecting you from the wrong version of greatness. Let me say that again. The fear you're feeling right now is not trying to stop you from becoming great. It's trying to stop you from becoming great in a way that will destroy you. There's a version of success that the world is selling you. A version that looks shiny on the outside, but is hollow on the inside. A version that will give you the platform, the money, the recognition, but will cost you your soul, your peace, your family, your sanity. And your spirit knows that. Your spirit can sense when you're being pulled toward the counterfeit greatness instead of the ordained greatness. And it creates fear to stop you from chasing the wrong thing. So when you feel resistance to this recalibration, don't automatically assume it's your ego being scared of failure. Ask yourself, am I resisting because I'm being called to something that scares me? Or am I resisting because I'm being lured to something that will break me? There's a difference. A God-ordained calling will scare you, but it will also anchor you. Even in the fear, there's a deep knowing that this is right. A counterfeit calling will excite you, but it will also make you feel unsteady, like you're building on sand instead of rock. And here's how you tell the difference. A God-ordained phase 2 will require you to decrease so God can increase. It will humble you. It will make you more dependent on Him, not less. It will strip away your self-reliance and force you to trust Him in ways you never have before. A counterfeit phase 2 will do the opposite. It will make you feel like you're the one who's great, like you're the one who made it happen, like you don't need God anymore because you finally figured out the formula. And that's how you know it's a trap. Because anything that makes you less dependent on God is not from God. Matthew chapter 16, verse 25. Jesus says, "Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it." And right before he says that, Peter tries to stop him from going to the cross. Peter says, "No, Lord, this will never happen to you." And Jesus turns to Peter and says, "Get behind me, Satan, you're a stumbling block." Now, why would Jesus call Peter Satan in that moment? Because Peter was trying to protect Jesus from the pain of the cross. But the cross was the assignment. The pain was the path to the resurrection. And if Jesus had avoided the cross to save himself from suffering, he would have lost everything. He would have saved his life and lost his purpose. And that's what your fear is doing right now. It's trying to save your life, your comfort, your current relationships, your sense of control. But if you save those things, you'll lose your purpose, you'll lose phase 2, you'll lose the very thing you were born for. So the question is not, am I scared? The question is, what am I saving by staying here? And is what I'm saving worth more than what I'm sacrificing? Now, here's what happens next. The moment you choose to walk through the fear, the moment you decide you're going to let this recalibration complete, no matter what, the enemy panics because he just lost his primary weapon against you, which is fear. And when fear doesn't work, he moves to plan B. And plan B is interference. He can't stop the recalibration, it's already in motion, but he can disrupt it. He can create enough chaos and distraction in these 3 days that you miss the instructions. You're so busy putting out fires that you don't hear the still small voice giving you the next step. And by the time the 15th is over, you'll think nothing happened. You'll think you missed it. And you'll spend the next 6 months in confusion, wondering why the door didn't open. So I'm going to tell you exactly how the interference will show up. 7 forms. And each form has a specific strategy. And if you don't recognize the form, you'll fall for it. But if you see it coming, you can neutralize it before it derails you. The first form is the false urgency call. This is when someone from your past, someone you haven't heard from in a while, suddenly reaches out with a crisis. It's urgent. It's emotional. It demands your immediate attention. And it always happens on one of these 3 days. Maybe it's your mother calling and saying, "I had a bad dream about you. Something terrible is going to happen. You need to come over right now." Maybe it's an ex texting and saying, "I made a huge mistake. I need to talk to you. Can we meet today?" Maybe it's a friend saying, "I'm going through the worst thing. I need you. Can you drop everything?" And your first instinct is to respond. Because you're a good person. You care. You don't want to abandon someone in need. But here's the strategy behind this form. It's not about helping them. It's about pulling your focus. Because when you're focused on their crisis, you're not focused on your recalibration. And the enemy knows that if he can steal your attention for even 24 hours during this window, he can delay your breakthrough by months. So how do you recognize it? You'll feel it in your stomach. A drop. A sinking feeling. Like something's pulling you backward instead of forward. And how do you win? You say, "I hear you, I care about you, but I can't engage with this until after the 15th. I'll reach out then." And you do not explain why. You don't justify. You don't apologize. You just hold the boundary. The second form is the manufactured crisis. This is different from the false urgency call because it's not a person. It's a situation. Your car breaks down. Your computer crashes. Your bank account gets frozen. Your landlord says there's an issue with your lease. Something happens that feels urgent and demands your immediate attention and problem-solving energy. And again, your instinct is to fix it right now. But here's the strategy. The enemy knows you're a fixer. You pride yourself on handling things. So he creates a problem that looks important but actually isn't. It's a distraction disguised as a responsibility, and you'll spend hours, maybe days, trying to solve it, and by the time you're done, the recalibration window is closed. How do you recognize it? The crisis will feel urgent, but not actually life or death. Your car breaks down, but you can get a ride. Your computer crashes, but you can use your phone. Your bank account gets frozen, but it can be resolved next week. How do you win? You ask yourself, is this life or death today? If the answer is no, you defer it. You make a note. You handle it after the 15th. And you redirect your energy back to the recalibration. The third form is the comfort temptation. This is the subtlest one. This is when your old coping mechanisms start calling your name. The ones you use to numb discomfort. Maybe it's food. Maybe it's scrolling. Maybe it's shopping. Maybe it's binge watching a show. Maybe it's sleeping too much. And the pull is strong, because the discomfort of the recalibration is real. Your body is processing the frequency shift and it wants relief. But here's the strategy. The enemy knows that if he can get you to numb the discomfort, you'll interrupt the installation process. It's like pulling the plug on your phone while it's updating. The update stops, and you have to start over. So, he offers you comfort as a way to abort the upgrade. How do you recognize it? You'll find yourself mindlessly reaching for the thing, not because you decided to, but because your hand just moved. You're holding your phone and you don't remember picking it up. You're eating and you don't remember opening the package. How do you win? The moment you catch yourself, you pause and you say out loud, I feel the discomfort. I'm not running from it. I'm letting it recalibrate me. And then you sit with the discomfort for just 60 seconds. That's it. Just 1 minute. And then you can move on. But you don't numb it. The fourth form is the doubt amplification. This is when a voice in your head, louder than usual, starts saying, see? Nothing's changing. This is all fake. You're not special. You're not chosen. You're just gullible. And the timing is strategic. It usually hits on day 2 or the morning of day 3, right before the breakthrough. The strategy is to get you to quit early, to make you think the recalibration didn't work so you stop cooperating with it. And how do you recognize it? Your jaw will clench. You'll feel frustration rising like heat in your chest. How do you win? You don't argue with the voice. You don't try to prove it wrong. You just write this sentence in your mind or on paper. This doubt is part of the old calibration fighting to stay. And then you keep moving. The fifth form is the relationship confrontation. This is when someone close to you, someone who knows you well, questions the changes they're seeing. They say things like, you've been acting weird lately. You're not yourself. Are you okay? Or they say, I'm worried about you. You're getting too deep into this spiritual stuff. And their tone is not supportive. It's concerned in a way that feels like judgment. And the strategy is social pressure, because humans are wired for belonging. And when someone we love implies we're becoming strange, we instinctively pull back to fit in again. How do you recognize it? You'll feel defensive. You'll want to explain yourself or prove you're still normal. How do you win? You don't engage. You simply say, I'm in a process right now. I'll share more when it's complete. And you change the subject. No explanation. No defense. The sixth form is the imposter invasion. This is when shame floods in and says, who do you think you are, calling yourself chosen? You're not chosen. You're a fraud. You're going to be exposed. Everyone's going to see you're just pretending. And this form is particularly vicious because it attacks your identity. The strategy is to make you hide, to make you shrink back and stop showing up because you're terrified of being found out. How do you recognize it? You'll feel heat in your face, a flush of embarrassment even though no one's around. How do you win? You speak it out loud. I am chosen whether I feel like it or not. My feelings don't determine my identity. God's word does. And then you keep moving. The seventh form is the exhaustion ambush. This is when suddenly, out of nowhere, you can barely keep your eyes open. It's not regular tiredness. It's like someone turned off your power switch. You feel like you could sleep for 3 days straight. And it usually hits in the afternoon of day 2 or day 3. The strategy is to make you miss the final instructions because you're asleep. The enemy knows that God speaks in the still moments. So if he can knock you out during those moments, you won't hear what you need to hear. How do you recognize it? This exhaustion is different. It's not gradual. It's sudden. 1 minute you're fine, the next you can't function. How do you win? You don't fight it, you rest. But you set a timer. You say, I'm going to rest for 30 minutes, and then I'm getting back up. Because this exhaustion, it's not laziness. It's the energy cost of holding a new frequency. Your body is integrating, so you honor it. But you don't let it steal the whole day. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age. Most people read that and think, okay, spiritual warfare, got it. But they don't understand that those categories, principalities, powers, rulers, those are different ranks with different strategies. A principality attacks your mind, that's the doubt amplification. A power attacks your emotions, that's the comfort temptation and the imposter invasion. A ruler attacks your environment, that's the manufactured crisis and the false urgency call. And when you can identify which rank is attacking, you can respond correctly instead of just reacting in panic. So now you know the 7 forms, and over the next 3 days you're going to see at least 3 of them, maybe all 7. And when they show up, you're not going to be surprised. You're going to say, there it is, form number 4, I see you. And you're going to neutralize it and keep moving. But here's what you also need to know. These forms of interference, they're not just external, they create internal symptoms, physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, mental symptoms. And if you don't understand what those symptoms mean, you're going to think something's wrong with you. You're going to think you're getting sick or breaking down, but you're not. You're just recalibrating, and the symptoms are part of the process. So let me decode them for you. There are 8 symptoms, and if you're experiencing 3 or more of them right now, you're in phase 2 of the recalibration. If you're experiencing 6 or more, you're actually in phase 3, which means you're further along than you think. The first symptom is unexplained rage. Not anger at something specific, not frustration because someone wronged you. Rage, pure, hot, bubbling rage that rises up when you're doing the most mundane things. You're folding laundry and suddenly your hands are shaking from it. You're brushing your teeth and your jaw is clenched so tight it hurts. You're driving and you want to scream for no reason at all. And you think, what is wrong with me? I'm not an angry person. Why am I so angry? You're not angry. Your soul is revolting. It's revolting against every compromise you've made, every boundary you've let people cross, every time you stayed silent when you should have spoken. And it's all coming up now because the new frequency will not tolerate what the old frequency accepted. Your rage is not a problem. It's a purge. The second symptom is sleep disruption, but not regular insomnia. This is different. You fall asleep fine, but you wake up between 2 and 4 a.m., wide awake, like someone flipped a switch. And your mind is not racing with anxiety. It's just alert, like you're supposed to be awake, like something's being downloaded and you need to be conscious for it. And if you fight it, if you try to force yourself back to sleep, you'll feel more tired in the morning than if you just stayed awake. That's because those hours, 2 to 4 a.m., that's when the veil between the physical and spiritual realm is thinnest. And God is using those hours to speak to you, to adjust you, to download instructions. So if you wake up during that window, don't panic, just be. You don't have to pray. You don't have to read your Bible. Just sit in the stillness and listen. The third symptom is appetite changes. Either you're ravenous and you can't get full, or you have no appetite at all. and food makes you nauseous. And it's not medical. You're not sick. Your body is just processing energy differently. When you're holding a higher frequency, your body needs more fuel because it's burning more energy, or less fuel because it's being sustained by something beyond food. Either way, honor it. Eat when you're hungry. Don't force it when you're not. The fourth symptom is hypersensitivity to sound and light. Suddenly, normal volumes feel too loud. Bright lights feel like they're piercing your skull. You can't handle crowds. You can't handle noise. You want to retreat into silence and dimness. That's not you being antisocial. That's your nervous system recalibrating to process more input. You're becoming more sensitive because you're being trained to hear and see things most people miss. So, protect your senses during these 3 days. Lower the volume, dim the lights, give your system space to adjust. The fifth symptom is emotional swings. You're fine one moment, and the next, you're crying over a commercial. You're laughing, and then suddenly you're hit with grief you didn't know you were carrying. You feel everything at 10 times the intensity. That's because emotional suppression is being released. You've been holding emotions in compartments for years, and the recalibration is opening those compartments and letting everything out. It's not a breakdown, it's a release. Let it flow. Don't judge it. Don't try to make sense of it. Just let it move through you. The sixth symptom is physical heaviness. You feel like you're moving through water, like your body weighs twice what it normally does. Every movement takes effort, and you think you're exhausted, but when you rest, you don't feel recharged. That's because it's not physical exhaustion, it's energetic. Your energy field is expanding, and expansion requires work. So, your body feels heavy because it's literally carrying more energy than it's used to. It will pass. By day 4 or 5 after the recalibration, you'll feel lighter than you've felt in years. The seventh symptom is vivid dreams or no dreams. Either your dreams are so vivid and symbolic that you wake up feeling like you just lived another life, or you have no dreams at all and your sleep feels like you just blinked and it's morning. Both are normal. Vivid dreams mean your subconscious is processing the shift. No dreams mean your conscious mind is doing all the work and your subconscious is resting. Either way, your sleep is not wasted. It's active. The eighth symptom is sudden clarity, followed by sudden confusion. You'll have a moment where everything makes sense. You see the whole picture. You understand the pattern. You know what you're supposed to do. And then, 10 minutes later, it's gone. You can't remember what you saw. You feel confused again. That's not you losing the revelation. That's you glimpsing the new frequency before your mind is ready to hold it. The clarity will come back, but in a form your mind can sustain. So when you have those clarity moments, don't try to capture them. Just trust they're real. They're previews of what's coming. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 and 17. Paul says, "Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day." That word, wasting away, in Greek is pithero. It doesn't mean aging. It means corrupted programming being deleted. Like when you delete old files from your computer to make space for new ones. Your outer self, your old identity, your old patterns, they're being deleted. And it feels like wasting away. It feels like you're falling apart. But you're not. You're being renewed. And the next verse says, "This light, momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory." Momentary. That's the key word. This discomfort is temporary. Now let me tell you what happens after the 15th. Because you need to know what to expect, so you don't second-guess yourself when the shift starts showing up in your external reality. Within 7 days of January 15th, you're going to notice something. People will look at you differently. Not everyone, just certain people. It'll be subtle. Maybe a coworker does a double take when you walk into a room. Maybe a stranger at the coffee shop holds your gaze a little longer than normal. Maybe someone says, "There's something different about you. I can't put my finger on it." They won't be able to name it, but they'll feel it, because you're carrying a frequency now that registers in the spiritual senses of people around you. And here's the thing. Some people will be drawn to that frequency. They'll want to be near you. They'll start reaching out more. They'll ask for your opinion, your time, your presence. But other people will be repelled by it. They'll start distancing themselves. They'll cancel plans. They'll stop texting. And you'll feel the loss. But don't chase them. Their withdrawal is not rejection, it's protection. They're protecting their low frequency from your high frequency because proximity to you would require them to change, and they're not ready. Within 21 days, you're going to see a door open, not metaphorically, literally. An opportunity, an invitation, a connection, a conversation. Something that was closed before will suddenly be accessible. And when it opens, you'll know, because it will feel both terrifying and inevitable. Like you've been waiting for this your whole life, but you're not sure you're ready for it. That's how you'll know it's the right door. The wrong doors feel easy. The right doors feel impossible. But when you walk through them, you'll realize you were made for what's on the other side. By March 2025, if you cooperated with this recalibration, your relationships will have shifted. Not all of them, but the primary ones. Some people who were in your inner circle will have moved to the outer circle, and some people who were on the fringe will have moved to the center. And it won't be because you tried to change anything. It'll just happen. Because frequency reorganizes relationship. You can't stay deeply connected to people you're no longer vibrating with, and you can't avoid deep connection with people who match your new frequency. And here's what most people expect at this point. They expect life to get easier. They expect the struggle to be over. They expect smooth sailing from here on out. And when that doesn't happen, when challenges still come, they think the recalibration didn't work. But listen, the recalibration doesn't make life easier. It makes life clearer. You're not going to have less hard things. You're going to have more clarity about which hard things are yours to carry. Before, everything felt hard because you were carrying things that weren't yours. You were solving problems God didn't assign you. You were fighting battles that weren't your battle. You were taking responsibility for outcomes that were someone else's responsibility. After the recalibration, the hard things don't disappear, but the confusion disappears. You'll look at a situation and know, is this mine or not? Is this my fight or not? Is this my burden or not? And the ones that aren't, you'll be able to release them without guilt. And the ones that are, you'll be able to carry them without resentment, because you'll know why you're carrying them. Jeremiah 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope. Everyone quotes that verse, but nobody talks about the context. That verse was written to Israelites who had just been exiled to Babylon. They were taken from their homes, they lost everything. And God says, I have plans for you. But here's the part nobody mentions. Those plans required them to wait, not for a year, not for 5 years, for 70 years. Most of the people who heard that promise never saw it fulfilled in their lifetime. So when God says, "I have plans to prosper you," He's not saying your life is about to get easier. He's saying your direction is about to get clearer. You're about to understand where you're going, even if you don't understand when you'll get there. And that clarity, that's worth more than comfort, because you can endure anything if you know it has purpose. Now here's something I need you to hear. You're not the only one feeling this. You're not the only chosen one going through this recalibration window. And I'm not saying that to be comforting. I'm saying it because it's evidence. In the last 48 hours, I've received messages from people in 7 different time zones, and they all said variations of the same thing without knowing each other. One person in Australia said, "I woke up at 3:33 a.m. on the 13th and heard the words, 'It's time.'" Another person in London said, "I've been feeling this pressure in my chest since January 12th, like something's about to break open." Someone in New York said, "I keep seeing the number 13 everywhere, and I don't know why, but I feel like I need to pay attention." Someone in California said, "I had a dream about keys 3 nights in a row, and then I saw your video." Do you hear what I'm saying? These people don't know each other. They're in different countries, different time zones, but they're all experiencing the same shift at the same time. That's not coincidence. That's collective frequency. That's what Hebrews 10:25 calls episunagogy, divine magnetism. When God activates a frequency, He draws all the people who carry that frequency into awareness of each other at the same time. And here's why that matters. When you're going through something alone, you can doubt it. You can question if it's real. You can wonder if you're making it up. But when you realize thousands of people across the globe are feeling the same thing at the same moment, that's confirmation. That's God saying, "This is bigger than you. This is a movement." You're not isolated. You're part of a collective awakening. And if you've been feeling called to reach out to someone specific in the last 3 days, someone you haven't talked to in a while, but you hesitated because you didn't want to seem weird, that hesitation was interference. That pull you felt, that was episunagogy. That was the frequency trying to connect you to another chosen one who's going through the same thing. So if you're still feeling that pull, act on it. Send the message. Make the call. Say, "I don't know why, but I feel like I'm supposed to reach out to you right now. Is anything shifting for you?" You'll be shocked at their response. If you're feeling this message resonate deep in your spirit, if you're recognizing yourself in every symptom I've described, I want you to do something right now. Comment the word recalibrate below. Just that one word, not for me, for you. Because when you type it, when you declare it publicly, even if it's just one word, you're anchoring the frequency. You're making it real in the physical realm, and you're also creating a record. So when you look back 3 months from now, and you see what's shifted, you'll have proof of when it started. You'll be able to say, January 13th through 15th, 2026. That's when everything changed. All right, now let's get practical. Because knowing all of this is great. But in the next 72 hours, you're going to have to make decisions. And every decision is either going to cooperate with the recalibration or resist it. So you need a framework. A way to test every decision quickly so you don't waste time second-guessing yourself. Here's the framework. I call it the decision tree. And it's built on 3 binary questions. Every decision you face, you run it through these 3 questions in order. And by the time you answer the 3rd question, you'll know what to do. Question 1. Does this decision expand my energy or contract my energy? Not, does it make me happy? Not, does it feel good? Does it expand or contract? Here's how you test it. Think about the decision and notice what happens in your body. If your chest opens up, if your shoulders drop, if you feel like you can breathe deeper, that's expansion. If your chest tightens, if your shoulders rise, if your breath gets shallow, that's contraction. Expansion means yes, contraction means no. It's that simple. But here's the key. Sometimes a decision will contract you because it's scary, not because it's wrong. So, if you feel contraction, you move to question 2. Question 2. Does this decision align with who I'm becoming or who I was? This is the frequency check. The old version of you, the pre-recalibration you, would that version say yes to this? Or is the NEW version, the phase 2 version, the one being called to this? If it's something the old you would have done, that's a NO, even if it feels comfortable. If it's something the NEW is being called to, that's a yes, even if it feels terrifying. But sometimes you're still not sure. You feel expansion. It aligns with who you're becoming. But there's still hesitation. So you move to question 3. Question 3. Does this decision require my old frequency or my new frequency? Here's what I mean. If you can accomplish this thing in your own strength, with your own knowledge, with your own resources, it probably belongs to phase 1. It's not phase 2. Phase 2 always requires you to depend on God in a way you never have before. It requires a level of faith that makes you uncomfortable. It requires you to step into lack, trusting that provision will meet you there. So if the decision feels like something you can handle, it's probably not it. If the decision feels like something that will undo you unless God shows up, that's probably it. Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That phrase, lean not on your own understanding, the Hebrew word for understanding there is bina. It means your old calibration logic. The way you used to make decisions based on what made sense. God is saying, don't lean on that anymore. Don't let your old logic be the foundation of your new decisions. Because your old logic was built for your old frequency, and it won't work at your new frequency. So, when you're trying to decide something during these 3 days, run it through the tree. Expansion or contraction, becoming or was, new frequency or old frequency, and trust your body's response more than your mind's analysis. Now, there's one more thing. God is not just giving you a framework, He's giving you specific instructions, 7 of them, and some of these instructions are going to sound strange. Some of them are going to seem too simple, and one of them is going to make you resist because it's going to require you to do something that feels foolish. But that's how you'll know they're from God, because God's instructions rarely make human sense. They make kingdom sense, and we're about to walk through all 7. The first instruction is this. On January 14th, at ANY point during the day, you're going to be in the middle of a conversation with someone, and I want you to stop mid-sentence. Literally stop talking, and say out loud, "Wait, I need to listen first," and then be silent for 30 seconds. Yes, it will be awkward. Yes, the other person will look at you strange. Do it anyway. Because that 30 seconds of silence, that's when God is going to drop something into your spirit that will redirect the entire conversation. And that conversation is going to open a door you didn't even know existed. The second instruction. Sometime between now and the 15th, you're going to feel a strong pull to apologize to someone you haven't spoken to in a long time. Someone you had a falling out with, someone who hurt you or someone you hurt. And your mind is going to say, no, They don't deserve an apology, or they should apologize first, or it's too late, too much time has passed. Ignore your mind. In your heart, not out loud, not in a text, just in your heart, say this: I release you from the debt I've been holding against you. I forgive what you owe me. That's it. You don't have to contact them. You don't have to tell them. This is between you and God. But that release, that's what's going to unlock the provision that's been blocked. The third instruction. At some point in these 3 days, you're going to see something broken. A cracked cup, a torn page, a dead plant. Something that's been broken for a while, but you've been ignoring it. Don't ignore it this time. Look at it. Really, look at it. And in your mind, say, this represents what you're mending in me. And then, if it's something you can fix, fix it. If it's something you need to throw away, throw it away. Because the external action mirrors the internal shift. And when you deal with the broken thing in your environment, you're sealing the healing in your spirit. The fourth instruction. On the night of January 15th, before you go to sleep, I want you to do something unusual. In your mind, I want you to go back to the first time you ever felt like you didn't belong. The very first memory of feeling left out, rejected, or not enough. See it clearly. How old were you? Where were you? What happened? And then, in your mind, I want you to picture the adult version of you walking into that memory. And I want you to sit down next to the child version of you and say to them, I came back for you. You're not alone anymore. It's not your fault. You are enough. And then imagine picking up that child and walking them out of that memory and into the present. This isn't just visualization. This is timeline healing. You're going back and rewriting the frequency of your origin wound. The fifth instruction, this one's going to feel foolish, but that's how you'll know it's from God. On one of these 3 days, you're going to be making a decision about money. Whether to spend it, whether to save it, whether to give it. And God is going to tell you to do the opposite of what logic says. If logic says save, He'll say give. If logic says spend, He'll say save. And you're going to resist because it won't make sense. But here's the test. 2 Kings chapter 5. Naaman, the leper, goes to Elisha to be healed. And Elisha tells him, go dip in the Jordan River 7 times. Naaman gets angry. He says, I thought you'd come out and wave your hand over me and heal me. This is too simple. This is beneath me. And he almost leaves without his healing because the instructions seemed foolish. Don't be Naaman. If God gives you a financial instruction that seems too simple or too foolish, obey it. Because it's not about the money. It's about testing if you'll trust Him when it doesn't make sense. The sixth instruction. Between the 13th and the 15th, you're going to have a dream that feels significant. You might not remember all of it. You might only remember a fragment, a color, a name, a feeling. When you wake up, don't dismiss it. In your mind, ask God, what does this mean? And then pay attention to the next 24 hours, because the answer will show up in your waking life. Maybe you'll overhear a conversation that uses the same word from your dream. Maybe you'll see the same color on a sign. That's not coincidence. That's God connecting the dots between your subconscious and your conscious so you can see the pattern. The seventh instruction. And this is the one that's going to make you the most uncomfortable. At some point during these 3 days, you're going to feel the urge to do something that makes you visible. Maybe it's posting something vulnerable on social media. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting when you'd normally stay silent. Maybe it's wearing something bold when you'd normally blend in. And your fear is going to say, "Don't do it. People will think you're attention-seeking. People will judge you. Stay small. Stay safe." But here's what God is saying. Your hiding is over. Phase 2 requires visibility. And you've been using humility as an excuse to stay hidden. But humility isn't hiding. Humility is using your gifts without taking credit for them. So when that moment comes, when you feel the pull to be visible, do it. And don't apologize for it. Don't downplay it. Don't make yourself smaller to make others comfortable. Just show up, fully, boldly, unapologetically. Because the people who are meant to find you can't find you if you're hiding. Now let me tell you what happens if you miss this window, not to scare you, but because you need to know the cost of ignoring what God is doing right now. If you resist this recalibration, if you let fear win, if you sabotage the process before it completes, here's what the next 6 months look like. It's April 2025. You're sitting in the same place you're sitting right now. Same job you wanted to leave, same relationship that drains you, same financial struggle, same patterns, and you're going to think to yourself, "I had a chance. I knew something was happening in January. I felt it. I saw the signs. Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I follow through?" And the worst part won't be the circumstances. The worst part will be the knowing. Because once you've been shown the door and you choose not to walk through it, you can't UNC it. You'll live with the awareness that you were one decision away from everything shifting, and you chose safety over destiny. But here's the safety net, and this is critical. If you miss this window, it's not over. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 7. Again, he designates a certain day, calling it today. That word again. God doesn't just give you one window. He gives you multiple windows. But here's the thing. Each window gets harder to recognize, and the time between windows gets longer. So, if you miss this one, there will be another. But it might be 6 months from now, it might be a year, and the opportunity cost of waiting, that's time you can't get back. So the question is not, will there be another chance? The question is, can you afford to wait for the next one? Can you afford another 6 months of the same struggle, another year of the same confusion, another season of wondering if you missed your moment? Hebrews 3, verse 7 and 8. Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. Today, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when it makes sense. Today, right now. In this moment, this is your today, this is your window, and after you finish watching this video, you have a choice. You can close it and go back to scrolling and pretend this was just another motivational message. Or you can lock in. You can say, "I'm all in for these 3 days. I'm not going to let fear, distraction, or doubt steal this from me." And if you're all in, we're about to seal this. Because words without activation are just information, and information without application is just entertainment. So what we're about to do is not a prayer in the way you're used to. This is an activation ceremony. This is a commissioning, and by the time we're done, you will not leave this moment the same way you entered it. If you're able to, adjust your posture. Sit up. If you're lying down and you can sit up, sit up. If you're driving, obviously stay focused on the road, but engage your attention fully. This is not background noise. This is not a bedtime prayer. This is a military commissioning, and it requires your full presence. In your mind, place one hand over your heart. Feel it beating. That rhythm. That's the new frequency preparing to lock in. And with your other hand, in your mind, imagine reaching up, reaching toward heaven. You're not just listening anymore, you're receiving. You're pulling down what's already been released in the spiritual realm into the physical realm. In the name of Yeshua, the one who recalibrates broken frequencies into glory, I open this activation. Father, witness this moment. Holy Spirit, attend to what we're about to seal. Angels assigned to these chosen ones, take your positions. And every principality, every power, every ruler of darkness that has been interfering with this recalibration, I bind you now by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. You have no access to this commissioning. You have no voice in this sealing. The portals are open. The frequencies are active. January 13th, 14th, and 15th are locked in as sacred, as set apart, as untouchable. Father, you see this chosen one. You see them right now, exactly where they are. You know about the 3:47 a.m. sealing, staring. You know about the tears they've cried in the bathroom at 2 a.m. when no one was watching. You know about the bank account that never stretches far enough, no matter how hard they try. You know about the job that's been draining their soul for years. You know about the relationships that have taken and never given back. You know about the dreams they've buried because they were told they were too big, too late, too impossible. You know about the calling they've been running from because they're terrified of failing you. You see it all. And you're not disappointed, you're not frustrated, you're not waiting for them to get it together before you move. You're moving right now, in the mess, in the middle, in the before they feel ready. You know their secret name, the one they don't even know yet. The name you've been calling them since before time began. And today, you're speaking that name louder than every lie the enemy has whispered, louder than every voice that said they're not enough, louder than every failure that tried to define them. Today, they hear who they really are. And now, I seal the work you've been doing. I seal the 3-day protocol into their spirit. Day 1, receive. Day 2, anchor. Day 3, release. Let them know when each day begins. Let them feel when each step is complete. Don't let them miss a single instruction. I seal the understanding of the 3 layers. Layer 1, energetic shift. Layer 2, spiritual authority. Layer 3, operational assignment. Let phase 2 unlock on the 15th. Let the door they've been waiting for swing wide, and give them the courage to walk through it, even when it terrifies them. I seal the decision tree into their mind. Expansion or contraction, becoming or was, new frequency or old frequency. Let their body speak louder than their mind. Let their spirit overrule their logic. I seal the recognition of the 7 forms of interference. The false urgency call, the manufactured crisis, the comfort temptation, the doubt amplification, the relationship confrontation, the imposter invasion, the exhaustion ambush. Let them see each form the moment it appears. Let them neutralize it with authority. Let them move past it without losing momentum. And now I bind what needs to be bound. I bind the spirit of fear that's been whispering, "You're going to lose people if you level up." I bind it. I silence it. I remove its access. I bind the spirit of scarcity that says there's not enough, you have to hoard, you have to control. I bind it. I break its grip. I bind the spirit of false humility that's been disguising hiding as holiness. I bind it. I expose it. I cast it out. I bind every voice from the past that said, "You're not chosen, you're not special, you're just like everyone else." I bind every memory of rejection that made them believe they don't belong. I bind every failure that made them believe they can't. I bind every betrayal that made them believe they're alone. Those voices, they have no power here. Those memories, they have no authority here. This is a new frequency, and the old cannot survive here. And now I release divine timing into their life. Let provision show up the moment they need it, not a day early, not a day late. Let connections be made. Let the right people find them. Let doors open that have been locked for years. Let favor rest on them in rooms they haven't even entered yet. I release clarity. Let confusion lift. Let the fog clear. Let them see the next step, even if they can't see the whole staircase. Let them know what's theirs to carry and what's not. Let them release what doesn't belong to them without guilt. I release courage, not the absence of fear, but the authority to move through fear. Let them do the thing that scares them. Let them say the thing they've been afraid to say. Let them become the thing they've been too afraid to be. And let them do it without apologizing. Now I declare over them. I declare within 7 days of January 15th, someone will notice the shift in them, and within 21 days, a door will open. A conversation, an opportunity, an invitation. Something they've been praying for will suddenly become accessible. And by March 2025, they will look back at this moment and say, "That's when it changed. That's when I stopped waiting and started walking." I declare their body will no longer tolerate low-frequency environments. I declare their spirit will revolt against old compromises. I declare their mind will see what was hidden. I declare discernment will sharpen. I declare strategy will download. I declare supernatural favor will open doors no human can shut. I declare they will not shrink back. They will not hide. They will not play small to make others comfortable. They will show up fully, boldly, unapologetically. And they will walk in the authority that's been assigned to them since before they were born. Chosen one, I have one question for you, and heaven is waiting for your answer. Will you let yourself be recalibrated, even if it's uncomfortable, even if people think you're strange, even if it means losing who you used to be? Will you say yes to phase 2, even if you don't understand how it's going to work? Say yes, out loud, right now, even if it's a whisper, say it. Heaven heard you. The angels just witnessed your yes. It is sealed. It is done. You just signed the contract. And now God is legally bound by His own word to complete what He started in you. You are dismissed from the wilderness frequency. You are released from the season of waiting. You are commissioned into phase 2. Walk out of this moment different than you walked in. Your posture is different. Your frequency is different. The atmosphere around you just shifted. Don't say amen yet. Sit in this silence for 10 seconds. Let the calibration complete. Let it lock into every cell of your body. Let it seal. Now, Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. The Aaronic blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The word bless there, barak in Hebrew, it means to kneel before, to empower. God is kneeling before you right now, empowering you for what's next. The Lord make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. His face is toward you, not turned away, toward you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, not peace as the world gives, kingdom peace, the peace that says, I know the battle is won even while I'm still in it. Amen.